Hello and welcome to Cricket and Wrestling for Us. And today I've got I'm not going to call him a special guest anymore. He's a regular. He's a regular. Aman's here to discuss what's happened in wrestling since NXT 2.0, because a lot of interesting things have happened. We are going to start with Crown Jewel and go on, talk about SmackDown, Rampage, and Dynamite. Let me introduce my guest, which you already know anyway. Aman, how you doing, man?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, yeah, alhamdulillah, doing well. Let's get down to it. Let's get down to business, not to defeat the Huns, but actually to go through exactly what happened on Crown Jewel. Because personally, I'm just gonna give you my take. Crown Jewel was probably one of the best pay-per-views WWE's held in like 2 years, in my opinion. You can fight me on it, but I want your thoughts first.
I think it's the best show they've done in Saudi Arabia since they started going over there.
100%.
I really enjoyed it. There were no major things that were I was like, oh my god, why have they done that or anything like that. So I really enjoyed it. I don't know about you, but my match of the night was that Hell in a Cell between Seth and Edge. I thought that match was brilliant. And how could you not expect a good match from the two people involved? I mean, Edge is a Hall of Famer. Sometimes I think people forget the guy's nearly 50. He's like 48, 49 years old, and he's putting in performances like that. And I thought Seth did brilliant. That bump he took where he was at the top of the turnbuckle, and then Edge pushed him, and he went face planted the cell and then dropped into the table. And that was not like he was at the bottom end of the cell. He was like up in the middle towards the top of the cell. So he had quite a drop to go from there to there. And it was not a nice landing either. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed that match. I didn't, as you can see, I'm repping the Finn shirt again. So just for me personally, that was a bit of a sting when he lost to Xavier Woods, but that was to be expected, I think, with the huge internet following that he managed to get for that win.
Yeah.
But I thought that was fine. I really laughed. I don't know if you saw it at Matt Riddle coming out on a camel.
Yeah.
And we all just going, "What am I doing with my career right now?" I think I mentioned it to you that I enjoyed the Brock Roman match. I just thought the finish was very not creative, very lazy booking. I understand it had to be a dirty finish because you had to protect Brock and you wanted to extend that story, but two super kicks and a shot to the face with a bell, is that the best you could come up with? Are we really meant to believe that Brock Lesnar, of all people, can get defeated by two super kicks and a kick to and a title shot to the face? So, but overall, I thought it was a very good show and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I must say, I agree with all of your sentiments, barring the last point. I think anyone getting a super kick to the face and then a belt to the face at WWE will make them lose. That's the way it is, right? So WWE doesn't do that. If you get hit with the belt, it's worse than a tombstone, right? It's worse than an F5. The belt is stronger than all of those moves, okay? So I think in the WWE sense, it made sense. But overall, it does look a bit weak. But on SmackDown, I think Brock Lesnar kind of did a repayment of the favor, which we'll talk about shortly. Just a couple of questions. What did you think of the Goldberg match, Aman?
I have to be honest. I went to the loo and got my dinner.
Wow.
So I didn't really. I had it on in the background, so I didn't really pay much attention. But congratulations, it went over 5 minutes. So well done.
Yeah. I thought it was good, though. Honestly, I really wanted Bobby Lashley to win, and you probably saw the predictions thing as well. I wanted Bobby Lashley to win, and it'll be a 5-10 minute match. But the way Goldberg's won, right? It shows you that they just wanted the good guy to win in Saudi Arabia, because obviously there's a huge fan following in Saudi Arabia for Goldberg, right? And for that reason, Goldberg had to win. But he absolutely thrashed the Hurt Business, speared Lashley through whatever table it was from, let's say, 10, 12 feet, whatever, right? That was a pretty big leap for a 54-year-old man to do, right? So I thought that competition, in terms of in its totality, I actually liked that match. Personally, Drew McIntyre, Big E, we knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But again, it was a good match. It was like all of these matches were good matches. But for me, once again, I got to say the triple threat match between Bianca, Sasha, and Becky Lynch, it was good. Can't argue that. But the match of the night for me has to be the same as yours. Edge and Seth was just on another level. I'm just so angry they've stuck with the red Hell in a Cell. I want the old Hell in a Cell back. But barring that, some of the bumps, as you said, like going through that table after getting hit into the cage, and it's just outstanding. And honestly, I think the right guy won in the end. That's what they needed to do. Thankfully, there was no disqualification in a Hell in a Cell match with Seth Rollins, right? So in the end, I was quite pleased, to be honest. And just final takes. I just want to ask you about Crown Jewel in particular. You weren't happy with the Roman Brock finish, but Roman winning at the end, that was the right tactic, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you booked yourself into a corner when you announced that match anyways, because Brock Lesnar is Brock Lesnar. Since he's come back, you have presented him as like an unstoppable force above everybody else. So that's why I think I would question the finish that, okay, fair enough, if it was anybody else, I think you could come to terms with it, but this is Brock Lesnar. So surely you would need to make some sort of other creative finish than two super kicks and a title shot. I did like the part where Paul threw the belt in and you didn't know who he was throwing it into. See, something like that, I think if you had created that type of intrigue or that type of creativity in your finish as well, it would have been more palatable to people.
Agreed. Just a point I want to raise. Sorry to interrupt. Just a point I want to raise. The crowd noise in this Crown Jewel was shocking. It was great.
It was. I was just going to say that actually, the people who were heels were actually getting boos, and the people who were baby faces were actually getting cheered.
Unless you're the Usos, because in the pre-show, I don't know if you watched it.
Yeah,
the Usos were getting amazing, absolutely amazing. I'll let you go.
Yeah, like Seth got boos, Roman got boos, Becky got boos, but so it was quite surprising compared to the audience reaction you normally see, that there was just not really boos. There was not really clear cut who's a heel, who's a babyface. So I enjoyed that match, and I wanted to say particularly when they were shooting Roman coming down and when he was making his entrance, the way they shot it, the production value, the lighting, he looked like a star. Like that is who you want to build your company around. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think in terms of production value, WWE beats everybody.
Yeah.
Because they're a multi-billion-dollar company, but the way they shoot things, the way the camera angles are done, the lighting. I mean, when he came in the ring, he just slowly, methodically turned to each side of the crowd, raised the championship, and it really stood out that this is the guy that we're running with. So I thought that was really, really good.
Definitely, man. That's the thing. Roman is that big superstar, if you want to call him that WWE has now. Barring the old ones, in terms of consistently regulars for the past 7 years, I think Roman is the biggest star they have now. Let's talk about SmackDown. Sorry,
I just want to quickly say, I think credit should be given to Bobby Lashley as well, because he made Goldberg look like a star.
He hit the jackhammer.
Yeah, well, I knew you would have popped at that.
I did. It was awesome. If we talk about SmackDown, right? What were your highlights from SmackDown? And I want to talk about the Brock Lesnar Roman bit as well. What are your thoughts? What are your takeaways on the back of what happened on Friday Night SmackDown?
I think that the Brock thing was to be expected because he's going away now, and God knows when we'll see him again. Maybe in the new year now. So that suspension angle, even though they've done it so many times with Brock Lesnar, he attacked a member of staff. He's been suspended. So I just think you get used to it, and it's nothing new. I do think that Pat McAfee on commentary is doing such a good job at it. He just makes it sound so much more funnier,
Yeah.
and you laugh at his commentary. But when he went up to Adam Pearce and he was choking him with the belt, with the tie, and he was actually trying to speak and say, "You've been suspended indefinitely," he F5'd him twice and his pants ripped. Like his trousers, they were ripped. So you could see his legs. Um, but that, I think that was to be expected. I don't know what they're going to do with Roman now. I guess you could have him feud with Drew McIntyre because Drew was on SmackDown. I don't know what they're going to do until the lead up into like the Royal Rumble and then WrestleMania season kicks off. And I think the only thing that I wanted to mention from the SmackDown perspective was the swapping of the championships, the women's championships. I thought that they would strap Sasha Banks because she's the only SmackDown superstar now in that match. So I thought, okay, they've drafted Becky to Raw, and they'll strap Sasha so she can take that SmackDown championship to SmackDown.
Yeah.
But then when the match finished and Becky won, and then Michael Cole said on commentary that, oh, Charlotte's on SmackDown and she's the Raw Women's champion, and Becky's on Raw and she's the SmackDown Women's champ. I was like, oh, well, they're just going to swap the belts. And then that's exactly what they did, which is a lazy booking. But what else are you going to do? Yeah. You're going to have another tournament to say, oh, well, the championships are vacant because the champions are on two alternative brands. It just made sense for them to swap the title.
Could they not have just held the wrong titles on the separate shows and betray each of the sides when Survivor Series pops by and just, make some sort of story out of that?
Possibly. Yeah, like you could have done like those traditional Survivor Series matches they have at these pay-per-views. You could have been like, okay, if a SmackDown person wins, they win the title. If a Raw person wins, they win that title. But it just diminishes the prestige and the importance of those championships. So just swap them.
Yeah, it's at least they didn't do that with the WWE and the Universal because the names are different, so they're not brand specific. They just painted it red to black or blue, whatever they did at the time. But yeah, man, it's not the best thing for WWE. Again, it's the easiest get out of jail card to say, oh, they're on different brands. Let's just swap them. It'll just make sense. So
they don't mean anything. They just props.
Exactly. Yeah. Unfortunate. Right. Let's talk about AEW and Rampage and Dynamite. As I said before, Aman, I have not, I haven't been watching wrestling for the past couple of days. So in detail. So I would love for you to just take us through Rampage and Dynamite in terms of, what were your favorite bits?
Okay. So I think Dynamite was Rampage, pretty standard show. They had Britt Baker and Anna Jay. Standard match, really. It's just leading up to a Britt Baker and Ty Conti feud. They had Pac and Andrade, which was a fantastic match. They had the second match there, and they had Pac go over. But then they sprinkled in Malachi Black. He's hit up Pac with the Black Mist, and then they had Cody come out and clear house as well. On Dynamite, I don't think this week's AEW TV has been as good as we have been expected. The thing that was my major gripe, and I'm very disappointed in, is they had Cody go over Malachi Black, and they didn't turn him heel. So he had this long match, backwards and forwards, false finishes, all that match was fine. But they made Cody go over. He was supposed to have like this redeemed babyface type story arc that he got beaten down and he's brought himself back up and Arn's trained him and this and that. Booed out the building. So booed out of the building when he got the win. He didn't get babyface reaction at all. He just got booed out of the building. So that opportunity to turn him heel has gone. And personally, to me, I think he's just going to be another John Cena type like character where he's going to be booed in some places, cheered in some places. The character is stale, and I'm not invested in Cody Rhodes, the on-screen TV character, anymore. It just diminishes the mystique of Malachi Black a little bit, but they had Andrade come out as like a follow-up from Rampage the night before, and then they had Pac come out. So whether they turn that feud into a tag team, so it'll be like Andrade and Black against Cody and Pac, it just extends and prolongs a feud that should have finished ages ago. And I think that they have had a tendency of doing that now. They did it with the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle. They did it with Jericho and MJF, just dragging these feuds out when the energy's been zapped out of them anyways. So that was my big disappointment with that show when they finished. But pretty mixed bag of a show. They did have some good stuff with MJF and Sting. MJF and the Pinnacle beat down Sting and kind of taunted Darby Allin to come back. They were teasing some feud between CM Punk and Bobby Fish, and then they had more of the Elite and Jungle Boy stuff. So not really much of a newsworthy show. As we get on to Full Gear, I think is in a few weeks, but they'll be back on Wednesdays next week. So hopefully that should reset them. But yeah, not the best AEW shows this week. I think I personally enjoyed Crown Jewel and SmackDown better than AEW this week.
Yeah, that's the funny thing, right? You don't hear, as of late, I have not put WWE over AEW, but this week I genuinely consider WWE has gone over AEW in terms of the quality of their wrestling. Like, yes, ignore NXT 2.0 and Raw for the second, right? Let's just talk about Crown Jewel and SmackDown and compare it with Rampage and Dynamite. I think, yes, 100%. I think that's gone over. Plus, on top of that, I didn't watch AEW, which doesn't happen. This is the first week I have genuinely not watched it. So, Crown Jewel kind of drained me. But definitely, I think WWE's quality of show was far superior this week, and something we haven't said at all since we started doing this. So I'm going to ask you two more things, Aman, just a couple of points. First thing is, what was your moment of this of these four shows that you saw, and who was your wrestler of the week?
Moment. Oh God. I think I'm gonna go. I think the Seth Edge match. I think that was my match of the week this week. I just think that those two put in a stellar performance. Like where Edge hit that steel chair and it kind of went into Seth's private parts. I was like, "Eesh." I hope he's not planning on having any more kids. But so I enjoyed that match. Was the best match for me this week, and I think in terms of a moment, I really enjoyed. I think that Paul throwing in a championship in between in that match, and there was debate as to who he threw it in for. That was the moment of the week, because that's going to be your launching pad when Brock comes back, whenever that is. I mean, you could have like a story where Brock comes, wins the Rumble, goes to WrestleMania, and then that's going to be your finish to that story. So I think that moment of the week was good for me.
I think I agree with you in terms of the moment. I think the Brock Roman thing has to be on the top. For me personally, that bump between Edge and Seth. Again, I can't believe I'm agreeing so much with you over the past few weeks. It's astonishing to me. So yeah, I'm loving both of those feuds, and thankfully Edge won. Thankfully that feud should now end. It ended in a Hell in a Cell. That should be the end of it. I think that for me would be the moment in terms of the Paul Heyman Brock Roman feud. Final thing for me, wrestler of the week, right? I would genuinely give it to Goldberg. No, I wouldn't give it to Goldberg, but I'll actually like this thing. I'd give it to Brock Lesnar because number one, he's featured twice in 2 days, which is something you don't see Brock Lesnar do, right? Number two, he wasn't put down like considering the last 20 seconds of that match, everything up to that point. Did Brock did that thing he did against Goldberg in WrestleMania a few years ago, where he jumped over Roman when Roman tried to spear him. I was like, that leapfrog is absolutely shocking. This guy is, I don't know how big, but he's a monster, and he's jumping over Roman. Like that just like caught me. So Brock Lesnar, and then obviously Brock Lesnar absolutely thrashing Pierce all over the ring and stuff.
He's a freak athlete, Brock Lesnar. Like, imagine, like, seeing him in person, I just think it would be so intimidating. Like, this man is going to eat me alive.
Oh man, definitely, he is a scary, scary man. And thankfully, we don't got to see him for quite some time. But I agree with the Royal Rumble thing because he's already been signed up for coming into the Royal Rumble, or showing up at least on that show. So that'll be very interesting. Right, Aman, thank you so much. As always, really appreciate it. Thank you for the good summary on AEW as I missed it this week. And for everyone watching, please like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't done so already, please do let me know, or let us know, to be honest, in the comments below about your thoughts about wrestling all this week, about Crown Jewel, about why WWE is better than AEW this week.
Or any topics that they wanted us to discuss, just leave them in the comments.
That would be good as well.
Sprinkle them in.
Yeah, that would be good. We will sprinkle some really interesting topics all over the place. Thank you, Ahmad. Thank you, everyone. Until next time, catch you later. Bye, guys.